Okay, let's check out numbers 1 through 5 on the 7th grade MCA packet. The first one wants us to classify the following number, 22 sevenths. The first thing that I always like to check is, am I going to get a whole number? So if I take 22 divided by 7, is that going to come out to a whole number? The answer is no. 7 doesn't go into 22 evenly. We get a decimal, which also eliminates the possibility of it being an integer. So no decimals in those integers there either. So it's either going to be rational or irrational. You can check the decimal of this number if you want to. You do have to be careful though, because you could run into the case where you get a decimal that goes on forever. And if it's a decimal that goes on forever, that could be rational or irrational depending on what type of decimal you have that goes on forever. So a rational number that goes on forever will have a pattern to it and repeat itself. An irrational number with a decimal will go on forever with chaos. There's no repetition or anything like that. It does turn out that this is rational. You can check the decimal on that. Be careful though, sometimes the calculator doesn't show you enough digits to show that it does have a pattern. I'm not going to check this one because there's kind of a giveaway here. You have a whole number over a whole number, or two numbers written in a ratio, and that's what rational numbers are. They can be written as fractions. So that's really the fastest way to look at that one, but always check those other things too, just to be sure. All right, number 2, which of the following points represents 23 fifths on the number line? This one, you can use process of elimination and actually jump to a pretty quick conclusion, but remember, always check. I would take and look at how many times does 5 go into 23. It goes in there 4 times, that gets us up to 20. So this number is bigger than 4, and there's only one choice that's larger than 4, and it's that one right there, so we'll be looking at D. Alright, number 3. List the following numbers in order from least to greatest. Okay, a couple options here. You could turn everything into decimals, or you could change everything into fractions, get a common denominator. That's not always the easiest thing to do, depending on what denominators you're working with. So I'm going to do a little bit of both. First things first, our 2 negative numbers are going to be the first 2, because they're going to be smaller than the positives. So let's compare our 2 negatives here. Most of us can remember that negative 1/3 equals negative 0.3333 repeated. Alright, so we can compare these 2 decimals. Now remember, if you have a larger negative number, that means it's smaller, kind of backwards, right? So I'll go to the first digit for both of these. They both have a 3. Okay. Second digit, one has a 4. Alright, well, that means that negative 0.34 is smaller than negative 1/3, because this one is closer to 0. It's closer to being positive. Alright, so we would keep those in that order. And now let's compare real quick the last 2. This one is in the hundredths place, so I'm going to put this as 51 over 100. 51 hundredths is how we can say that number as a decimal and as a fraction. And I can easily turn this fraction into something over 100 as well. 55 over 100. So which one's bigger? 55 over 100 is larger than 51. So I would go 0.51 and then 55 over, or 11 over 20, sorry. So they actually gave you the correct order to begin with. So always check to make sure. You wouldn't think they would do that, but sometimes they throw in that curveball. So D is the correct answer. They actually gave you the correct order. Alright, so always check. Alright, number 4. Which of the following is equivalent to 5/7? A couple ways to do this. Looks like for A, they meant this to be a negative 5/7, so it's not A. And we can check to see either if the answer is reduced to 5/7 or if I could turn 5/7 into either of the answers. And it looks like if we look at like C, let's divide everything by 6. We get 5/7 there. So C is probably the answer. Remember, if I wanted to turn this into 5, I'd divide by 2. But dividing 21 by 2 is not going to give us 7, so it's not B. And we can check real quick. I would want to divide 35 by 7 to get 5, but 56 divided by 7 is 8. So that's not the one we're looking for. So C is the correct answer there. Alright, and lastly, number 5, 9.58 plus negative 4.7. Whenever you're adding a negative, it's just like subtracting. So, I don't know if they'll give you a calculator for this or not, so it's always nice to just do it the long way just in case. So, 8, we gotta do a little borrow. And we have more positive than we have negative, so it should come out to C, 4.88. Alright, so there's the first 5.